are here. We've got, this is a special episode.
This is a special bonus episode.
And why? Why did we feel the need to do this?
Well, for the most part, when we do stories, we're doing evergreen, timeless tales. They've been around forever, at least since we were born, or, people have been talking about them for years at the very least. And today we just had to catch the wave of the hot new movie that's come out. Do you want to tell everyone what it is?
Yeah, and also some of the talk around this movie is interesting, and so it's fun to jump in on something current. So we are talking about K-pop Demon Hunters today.
Michael, when you, it was like a month ago, you texted me, I had seen this movie, and you're like, hey, we should do a K-pop Demon Hunters episode. And I think the text I directly sent back to you was like, why? We don't like all the Netflix garbage that they churn out. And you're like, no, man, this one's actually got some interesting stuff in it. And I'm like, all right, if you say so. You get more cranky about these than I do. So if you think there's something,
it's true. I get very cranky.
I'll tip the hat on you and doing it more than me. But if Mike is into it, there's something there, then let's check it out.
So up until that moment, and up until you actually watched it yourself with this in mind, what was the scuttlebutt about this movie?
I had just been hearing the name around, and I didn't know much about it prior to seeing it. Like there was some buzz. It was something people were talking about.
Yeah,
I'd seen it pop up on the Netflix.
It sounds like dumb bubblegum stuff. It sounds
like dumb bubblegum stuff.
Yeah, like some bad like fly-by-night Chinese studio, slam out some kind of silly product. Like the title inspires zero confidence.
No, it's like Netflix seems to me, and this is just as an observer, like their marketing or their business strategy is have a couple prestige franchises that are just awesome. You got Stranger Things, or you got some like big name movies that have come out that like really catch fire and like really are like high quality and something special, and then just churn out the junk. Just a bunch of filler around that.
You just like wallpaper viewable hours,
And the kids' content in particular, like I hate when my kids will just go up to Netflix and there's just so much like garbage, badly put together stuff on there.
Yeah.
And so then when it's like, oh, this new K-pop movie on Netflix, I'm like, all right,
right. And not a huge fan of the music genre.
I didn't know much about the music genre, but
I remember when my son first was flipping through and he was like, oh, let's watch this tonight. And I was like, nope. And then he finally, I think he snuck it some morning when, before we were awake, and we came upstairs, because I try to watch what he's watching, especially with like you said, the amount of crap that just gets sort of funneled onto the kids' channel. I was like, all right, so what's my kid watching today? So I snuck up just to see if it was like, is it mind-numbing garbage? Is it like weird indoctrination? Like what is it? What are we watching here? And I was like, oh no, this is pretty good. And so the first indication I actually had of it was there's a channel on YouTube called Sam Does Arts, and he's a animator and he teaches stuff. And so he did a little short going, what's with this movie all my animation friends are talking about? Okay. And so just from an animation standpoint, he was going like, I'm coming into this thing expecting garbage. And then he watches it and he's going, this is really good.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, maybe we'll take a look. But then what are some of the other things you've heard about it? Like particularly moms and stuff like that.
Yeah. So it when it was first going on, this was over the summer, and we're in deep swim team season. So we're at swim practice every day, and all the parents are like, yeah, my kids keep watching this movie over again. Like, and they're like, I kind of like the music. This is actually kind of catchy, right? And like, then the train starts to like really take off. And as of now, it's like, there's a group, shout out to a couple of the swim team families who listen to this podcast, who jump in. Thanks for joining us. But a big group of them just went to like the in the theater sing along, like their kids are all dressing up about it. Like it was a whole big moment for particularly the 7-year-old girl crew. And it was a big thing. And then there's, I've heard there's a bit of the like homeschool moms group who's like, I don't want anything with demons in it. This is bad.
Right.
Without having seen it. But
yeah, right. And that's what I love. So I grew up, like I'm old enough to remember the Satanic Panic.
yeah.
And I'm old enough to remember.
For those that don't know, the Satanic Panic, daycares, doing Satan rituals, that stuff.
Yeah, that like daycares were doing these satanic rituals using people's children like while they're at daycare. And so it's like fear mongering, and it's some of it's the natural fear and that maybe you should feel for just sort of pawning your children off on.
Be aware of who is taking care of your children. That's
don't just assume the service is above board.
Yeah.
And then I'm also old enough to remember when sort of like the moral majority fundamentalist right hated J.K. Rowling and
right
Harry Potter because it was evil. And I remember someone explaining to me that these are real magic spells that they're casting, and I was like, lumos is just Greek for light. Like it's not magic, it's just Greek,
And I don't think you're trying to get into the symbolic nature of literature and how it plants seeds or what. I don't think that's what you mean when you're saying that.
Yeah, and I remember someone explaining to me that the mon in Pokemon was demon, and I was like, no, I'm pretty sure it's pocket monsters, Pokemon, because you carry them in your pocket and it's like a fun thing. And so I am pretty well attuned to the sort of like the panic nature of stuff like this. So, but then also there is all kinds of crazy indoctrination stuff snuck into kids' movies. So I was like, well, let's find out. And so I watched this, and my wife finally got to watch it. We almost never got to watch a kids' movie like from opening credits to end credits uninterrupted. It almost never happens, but we did, partially for this, mostly for this episode, to make sure we get the like the whole thing.
Yeah.
And so her opinion, and I think mine too, is like this might be one of the best like Christian movies ever made. And which is even like you look at even Harry Potter and you're like, well, it's 3 kids who mostly obey the rules, and when they disobey them, they apologize. They're like respectful even when they're disobedient, and they are using the bonds of friendship and love and mutual respect. They're overcoming evil and greed and avarice, and it's like
these crazy universal principles that just get snuck into even the most demonic places.
Witchcraft, and it's like, no, it sounds like actually just ethics and good versus evil.
Right.
And so we can elaborate more on that.
Because that was the thing. Because that was the thing that jumped out to me in the first watch of it, is like, it's very clear we're not doing postmodern, you need to go make up the rules and go find yourself and strip away the social constructs of good and evil that have kept you oppressed. This is a world where there is good and there is evil, and there's good guys and bad guys, and sometimes the evil can look alluring, and it does a really good job of portraying that. And the soundtrack is awesome. Someone was tasked with putting together a soundtrack of not just one song, but a whole soundtrack of songs that, the theme is, this song is so catchy, you will give up your soul for it. And they kind of accomplished it.
It's kind of, it's pretty close.
Yeah.
It's the bad guy is, and I'm going to butcher pronunciation, and I don't know what all these things like translate to or their origins. And I should have done more research on this, but so like Guima is, I think that's like the Satan character, right? Like he whispers in your ear. And that's what Satan is, the accuser, right? In Judeo-Christian lore. And that's what Guima does. He whispers, he whispers to you about your sin and your shame and tries to kind of trap you in it. And so it's like, we have these really clear, like canonical themes brewing. And then of course, I don't know, should we just dive right into the symbolism?
Yeah. Let's jump in.
And so you have this like this tree of life, symbol that Rumi returns to talk to her adopted mom.
Yeah.
And this Edenic tree of life thing that is supposedly trying to fix the world, right? And it's this idea that like we're going back, we're trying to get back. And this is something that is also a framework that I think a lot of Western Christians operate under is like, oh, the project is going back. Like the project is trying to get back to Eden before things were broken. And it's like, no, that's not actually the project. And so it's this sort of spirit of religion, this idea that like, oh, you must cover your veneer, cover your shame with this veneer. You have to pretend that everything's great. You have to behave. You have to have control, and you have to get us back to Eden. And we see that what that actually does is provide this really fertile bed for the accuser to plant shame, because certainly you're not perfect. And of course, nobody
cover it up, make it better, cover it perfect,
up.
have all that, right?
Yeah. And dress real nice, go to church. So it's like this spirit of religion thing. And it is, frankly, what every world religion kind of gets up to is an accounting of good versus bad, and a credit system or a karmic system. Every global religion, except one that I know of, functions in this way of like, we're just trying to
do more good deeds than bad deeds.
That's right.
And try to tip the scales in the good direction even better.
Yeah. And the pressure that comes with that. And then, I mean, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but I guess we're not really doing plot summary necessarily. But, and so what happens is the main character, Rumi, is, she has these patterns on them. Of course, patterns has this great double meaning that we have patterns in our life of our own behavior and our shortcomings.
And don't let your patterns show. Keep your patterns covered up. Don't let anyone see them, even though...
And you deal with patterns all the time professionally, right? Like
I'm an addiction therapist. That is the definition of what we work in, if you want to look at that symbolically. Right?
Just tracking that down. And so hers are great because they're physicalized. And so like every good metaphor in a screenplay, because it's a visual medium, needs to be visually meta.
And so all of the demons like are recognizable by their patterns because their patterns are being shown. And the hunters like their gift, like they can notice the patterns and see the patterns and see like who's demons and who's real. And that's a whole piece of them. But then ultimately, again, we're skipping to like then ultimately at the end, it seemed like, look, whether your patterns are external or not, we all have these. And the final song kind of culminates in like, we can't pretend our way out of this.
Right. Yeah. So she confronts her adopted mother, who is enforcing this idea that like, no, it's just about being perfect and then everything will be great. And she says like, if that's the way this is going to go, then it has to be destroyed, which is more or less the message of like the new covenant of coming and saying like, no, we actually have to, we're not going back to Eden, that we're resetting the playing field.
Right.
So
so a thought on that, because we're going to push this episode out because we want to catch the wave of this movie that's so hot. And I think this is a really interesting discussion. But we recently did an episode doing Encanto, right? And in Encanto, it's kind of that same message. But, stay tuned for that episode. But we feel like it kind of falls flat. It's not just like trying to keep it all together for the family. But you'll hear in that one, it doesn't quite land for us in a way that feels authentic. But in this movie, it really does. What do you think it was about this movie, K-Pop Demon Hunters, that portray that message so effectively in the way that I've seen done in like really shallow ways?
That's a good question. The some of what is effective in this, I think one of the things, honestly, and this comes up in the Iron Giant episode, which will also come out later, but that there's this urge that we know that in order to have catharsis with this conflict of I'm not good enough, I'm not strong enough, I'm not capable enough, and yet I must be to arrive at the culmination of this plot, this adventure, is that somewhere in there a death is required. Yeah. And so, that's what I think is really interesting. And is this character, which character is it? Genu?
Genu's the main demon boy band.
So he kind of fulfills that requirement. And so it's interesting because I think, they're dressed like priests.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like these ancient, and they were, it's really cool. There's this awesome show again on Netflix. It's a Korean like zombie movie. I want to say it's called like The Kingdom or something like that. But there's this wardrobe shows up in there. So they're like these monks. And so
demon monk priest guys.
But he takes, so the accuser, who's Satan, shoots death at our main character. This guy jumps up and takes death's sting with his arms outstretched.
This is Jinu's redemption. Jinu's got a Christ-like story.
Yes, and so well, because it's as an audience, you feel this, like there's a death is required, like someone's got to die and come back to life.
Well, that was the thing that I thought was effective about Jinu's story, because it's not like when it gets into his backstory where he abandoned his family for his own fame and fortune, it sucks the life out of him and he's left with regret and holding that for centuries. He gets his redemption, but it's not without cost, right? So he still has to die at the end. He's still like, but he's at peace with that, and he fulfills that. But it's you go down that road of demon and serving the Satan in this one for a long time, like it's gonna suck the life out of you. So it like, again, another one, it's not shy about like he's sucked into oblivion. Yeah,
and it's got that cool like what was his name, Robert Johnson, selling his soul at the crossroads kind of quality. He's like an ancient Korean blues man, But so you've got like the groom and bride in this sort of and so combined, like the two of their stories combined are this sort of church and Christ redemption thing, right? And so she also has a metaphorical death when she goes, becomes the demon, which is also like becoming sin, right? So that you can redeem.
Totally.
So the two of them together create this death and resurrection experience, and that's something that doesn't happen in Encanto.
No, well, and sure, definitely. And I think they do a really good job. I mean, I think like in any good Universal story, there are these deep and like religious themes that are present in that. Very much in kind of the to a lot of Eastern religions, but like the yin yang, light and dark. There's a little bit of dark in each light. That song, "Free," that Gino and Rumi do. It's very much like he's supposed to be the demon. He's all dark, and you're seeing a bit of his light come up. And she's the one who's being all good. She's the leader of the hunters who fight demons, and she's having to deal with a little bit of her darkness and her deceptive sin nature around that. Her weakness to stand up to her friends when they want to write this aggressive song. That's all that. And then they, in a weird way, they can understand each other. And so it embodies all this like kind of the balance of those things in there too. The characters are really compelling in this.
Yeah, the characters are compelling. The animation is phenomenal, and a lot of that is the work that Sony did on Spider-Man. They put in so much work refining the frame rate and the both of those Spider-Man cartoons really changed the business. Like they were a major step forward in the art form. You're talking
the Spider-Verse stuff?
Yeah. Spider-Verse 1 and 2 were a sea change for animation. Everyone felt it. And you even see it in the Puss in Boots movie, which I think we should also do one on, because that one's so good. So the animation's so good, the music's awesome, the performances are great, and then the culmination of this story, the Huntrix band is also like this sort of global church idea, right? That we have to be together. It's the body of all of us together that will overcome, the enemy.
Right.
So of course the project is to split them up, and so they split up when these scars, these patterns seem irrevocable and unredeemable.
Well, which is also part of Rumi's like lies and deception, and she's been told this to like cover it up, to like pretend like things are fine, and they're like, something's not right with you. Why are you even at the beginning, like the girls all want to go to the spa together, and she'll never go to the spa with them because then she's got to show that she's got all these markings, and then that it will reveal it. So she's been holding the secret, and you can feel the tension between them build up to the whole time. One of the things that is super cool. So the song, I think the symbolic thing they did with the songs on this is cool. The original song that they're going to do for like the K-pop Idol Awards is Golden, right? And that's their story, right? And then they're like, no, let's punt on that song because we want to write this diss track to take down these losers. And it's hate-filled, and it's like, you guys, you don't deserve to live. It's anger-filled. And Rumi's kind of like, I don't know, because she feels like she identifies in some way.
Well, with she knows it would be hypocrisy, right?
Yeah,
and what's the one thing that drives everyone bananas about that sort of fundamentalist,
right,
more moralistic religion is
yeah,
always hypocrisy.
right. And so what happens when they've been split up, and then before, at the end of the movie, before the Saja boys do their song, they have these like demon versions of the other two girls in the Huntrix band. They start to sing Takedown, but they're not singing it to the demons. They're singing it to Rumi, like, you're part demon, you don't deserve to live. So it's all the like anger you put out towards that will get turned back on you, which is like a cool subversion thing they do with the song. Ultimately, it's about they have to learn like that's not the path forward. They have to get back to the golden song, which is like that's their core.
Yeah, and then beyond that, it actually there's this sort of triumphal song where they all come together, like before they get back to golden. Is this what it sounds like?
Yeah,
and so that in it we see all of the other characters, like so Zoe and Mira also are like confessing their sins, right? And so in this part they're going, where is it? We were cowards, we were liars, we're not heroes, we're still survivors. But that like they're going through and they're kind of enumerating that they also have these patterns, they just aren't physicalized. And then the broke into a million pieces and I can't go back, so it's like the project is not going back to Eden,
right.
But now we're seeing the beauty in the broken glass. So what that reminded me of is there's this artist, he's a Japanese artist,
I think I know
named
you're talking
Makoto Fujimura.
Yeah.
And one of the things that he does, and a metaphor that he uses, is this art form Kintsugi, which I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
So this is Japanese, it's not Korean, but the principle is what exactly these lyrics. And so if you have like a priceless vessel, right, and this metaphor just explains itself. You have a priceless vessel, your soul, whatever, your being, yourself, and it breaks. So now it's junk. Now it's essentially worthless. It goes from being this expensive thing to being worthless in the hands of a master artist.
It's really cool. Yeah.
They use precious metal to reassemble it in a way that makes it more unique and more precious than it was before. And so this is
that. And that way that makes it more unique and more precious, it doesn't cover up the cracks, it highlights the cracks.
No.
And
it highlights the cracks, which is what happens to her character in the in the denouement of the film. We see that her patterns, instead of being this bruised purple kind of thing, they're this iridescent blue, and they're cool. And there is
a Kintsugi look to the patterns on her arms by the end when they turn golden.
Yes, they turn golden, and then they turn into this iridescent redeemed thing. And so that is, and that's the driving message of like, gospel New Testament.
Totally.
Is we're taking the broken pieces and we're not, there's no hiding. Now, whether people actually choose to do this or not is a completely different story, and they generally don't. But in good covenant relationship with people that what I strive for is to say, yes, this I currently struggle with, and
this is the thing, right?
And so these scars are actually what make me more beautiful and better than I was before. And I think we've all met people who have been through destructive experiences, and they've let it keep them broken. Well, and we've been through people. We've been with people that have been through almost the exact same experience. But instead it made them beautiful.
Right.
In their choice of whether to hide it, let it be a broken scar thing, or to redeem it and let it be something that goes out and reflects beauty and goodness and truth in the world.
Yeah. One of the things I love so much about so as a therapist, I run a bunch of groups, and our practice, we specialize in like addictions work, and groups by far and away are my favorite part of the work that we do. And one of my favorite things is when like a new member is invited to the group, and they're going to come in and they're going to talk about stuff that has kept them isolated, that they have tried to keep away from everyone else at all costs. And not only are they coming in and talking to me, who's virtually a stranger pretty early on in this process, and talking about the stuff they swore they'd keep a secret forever, but now they're being asked to come in and talk to a group of strangers about this one thing, and it's the most terrifying thing ever, right? But what happens is, as we go around do introductions, and they start hearing their same exact story told from all the other group members who've been doing this forever. You can see their shoulders start to relax. And one of the most powerful things that happens is the thing that once kept them trapped in isolation and in these addictive cycles, now they're not forming relationships with people in spite of it. They're forming relationships with people because of it. And it changes the whole relationship with like this thing I once was so ashamed of. Now I'm actually building connections of. And so what happens in K-pop is like she has a deeper relationship with her friends as a result. They're closer than they've been. Their band is stronger than it's been. Their music is better and more authentic. They go to the bathhouse by the end.
Right.
And like which, and I think too, like that is what happens, just bring it back to like an everyday level. When you let your friends in on the things you're struggling with and stop pretending like you have to be perfect, all that, it makes the load lighter in bearing that burden. It makes your friendship stronger. Every deep relationship you have with someone, it's someone who you've gone through some stuff with. You've wrestled with the burdens. You've walked with them through their challenges that they've faced. And this movie demonstrates that. It shows that to you in a way that's not preachy, and it's not like, don't worry, we're here for you and we like you and it's an answer and God or whatever. Like it's demonstrates in a way that is very authentic.
Yeah, it shows and it doesn't tell.
Yeah.
Which again, screenwriting 101. Yeah. Show, don't tell. And this movie just shows and shows and shows.
Mm-hmm.
And you get, I'm seeing all the beauty in the broken glass, and just on and on.
Getting on lyrics of other songs too. So the song that plays right before that final song, what it sounds like is Your Idol, and it's the Saja Boys, the Demons, like final song. It like this is one like if you just take it in isolation, like that sounds real demonic. But the song reads like the Screw Tape Letters.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's C.S. Lewis. If anyone doesn't know, like C.S. Lewis is the Screw Tape Letters. It's a conversation of two demons talking about like how they would deceive people and how they would try to like get around and get into people's insecurities. And that's what the song is keeping you in check, keeping you obsessed, play me on repeat in your head. Anytime it hurts, play another verse. I can be your sanctuary. And it's pretty overt in like, I'm dividing you. I'm preying on your insecurities. I'm the only one who'll love you for your sins. Feel the way my voice gets underneath your skin, which is, it works so great as a pop song, which is meant to be catchy, which is meant to be this thing that like
draw you in,
have on repeat. Like one of the things that this movie does so good, it's so interesting. The audience is always a bunch of clueless dopes. They just go along with whatever's being thrown at them. All the songs, like you listen to this, it's like there's dark stuff. They're just cheering. They just love it. This is a catchy tune. And even like the Huntrix songs, they're talking about you're a demon, you're a bad guy, or we're golden. We're going to make everything better. We're going to help the world with all this. And like these messages that are there, the audience is clueless to them. They don't hear it at all. They're just sycophants, right?
Which is kind of like collateral damage.
Well, it's they're the clueless sheep who just kind of follow whatever's kind of coming your way, which is true of people. So like the fact that they kind of so overtly put that in, and it's cool because it kind of spans like the demographics. You got, the old ladies who are doing their walking in the park. They just like this music and get sucked into it. And then you got the kids who are, your teen girls who are sycophantic about this, and the dudes who are just fanboys of whatever. Like we're all susceptible to just being on autopilot sheep mode.
Yeah. And I do love that because it does speak to that idea that whatever you bombard yourself with, you are going to just take on whatever water you swim in. Like you're going to settle to that temperature. And
which is like that's such a spiritual concept. For a lot of times people like the idea of spirituality stuff. It sounds so like woo, like, but that's a good practical, like you're listening to the song all the time, like it's going to shift the way you see the world, and that can be for good or that can be for bad. So be careful like what the things you're taking in. And that's not to say like don't listen to the metal music, kids, but it's like it's understand like the things you take in will affect you in this very spiritual unconscious way.
Right.
And that's going to shift your approach to that. Everyone knows that experience, whether you're come from a spiritual tradition or not.
Yeah, the song that pops on the top 40 radio that you cannot stand, you give it a couple of weeks and you're like, hey, this is pretty catchy. And like, I used to work in music videos on set all the time. And without fail, every track was awful when you started working on it, because almost all music is just so mediocre. And by the end of a music video where you've listened to it probably literally 1,000 times, you're like, you know all the lyrics, it's kind of catchy, you kind of like that song now. And so
and
it's,
it carries some meaning for you then, because you hear that. It's like, I remember working on this, and I remember the people I worked on it with.
Well, and even just
things
the
we were
lyrics
doing and
come to mind.
Yeah, right.
So what I think what we're saying is not do this, don't do that, but just to be intentional about it. And when you hear something, or you're going to watch something repeatedly, whatever it is you're choosing to take in, go, is this nutritious? Is this is this what I want to be?
Is this the Huntrick song pulling you towards good, or is this the Saja Boys pushing you towards like, let me be your idol?
Right.
Which is such an it's such an like, it should be so on the nose. I will be your idol, which idolize Christian, all that stuff. Like, it's so on the nose, but like, it's a pop song and everyone loves it. And it's like, yes, that is exactly what is happening in your American Idols and all this. It's whatever gets your attention and holds your attention. That's what's good. And if it's good or it's bad, like, be mindful of it.
Well, and I love that they show up dressed as these religious figures, and they sing a song that's full of religious imagery, because what they are combating is that old spirit of religion that says do more good than bad. And then at a certain point, and I know people like this, I've been someone like this, where my perception of myself is that I've done so much more bad than good, then you just give up. And you go, you know what? There is no climbing out of this hole, so I'm just going to become my sin. And so,
who's the only one who'll love you for your sins? The lyrics from the song.
And so you go,
that's
great,
what I'll go with.
I'll be home there, and that'll be easy and comfortable. And it is, but it's ultimately isolating, and it reinforces this fake.
Well, it sucks the life out of you, and you're pushed deeper and deeper away from ever being able to like wrestle with those struggles or tell anyone about it, and you get sucked into that, and you identify with it, and you become that demon person, which is again that's what Jinu's story is, and ultimately his redemption back from that.
And there's one character in the whole movie that goes from wearing a Huntrix shirt merch to the Saja Boys merch to the Guimo, is that his name? Shirt.
Wait, Guimo?
Guimo,
Guimo,
and it's like this Metallica looking logo, and it says Guimo, and there's only one merch like that in the movie that I can think of.
That's a good little Easter egg.
Isn't that also the track? It starts, hey, I'm just into the Saja Boys, and it's like, no, I actually am into Guimo. Like, that's really who I am.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
Yeah. So okay, so ultimately, it's bizarre. It's like a Gem. Do you remember that show Gem from the 80s? So it's a Gem remake. Like, this isn't really a new idea. And I love that they, even in the intro, they show that it's not a new idea by going through all these generations of of girl bands doing this thing.
Right.
But it's done exceptionally well with timeless themes.
Right.
I think it's ultimately maybe one of the most Christian movies I've ever seen, and way more watchable than any other Christian movie I've seen.
Totally. It's certainly not like on the nose and overt. I don't think, I certainly don't think any of the film writers were coming at this like, wouldn't be shocked if they're not Christian or whatever. And like, they draw from a lot of like traditional, like, I mean, I'd be curious actually if anyone like knows in the comments. Like, I know there's a lot of like, Eastern religion and like Korean symbolism that like admittedly not as versed in and don't understand. I know the tiger, the raven, those are traditional like Korean symbols that we're drawing from something. Did some brief research on it, but couldn't totally like get my finger on that. But I think all that to say, like, these universal human experiences, you see them play out in all these different places. And like the message of hypocrisy, of sin, of, again, even like sin was such a word that feels so like scary and judgmental and uneasy, and like it's overt in this, and it's that's the proper word to describe what these characters are singing about. And so I think it does such a good job of just getting back to these things.
Yeah. And there's something, and this is just my theories, forgive me, but there's something about like the ancientness of Korean culture that I'm completely outside of. But I was studying into like like the folklore. I was trying to write a screenplay that was almost like a Wizard of Oz thing, but through like ancient Korean folklore. And so before there was Buddhism or Zoroastrianism or any of the other faiths that kind of like colonized the Korean peninsula, there was this like very ancient I can't remember the word for the, like just an incredibly ancient spiritual belief in a character, and I'm going to butcher the pronunciation again, a character named Hanyunim that is like the king of all kings. He's like the god of all gods, and you can't make an image of him, and he judges good from evil. And I mean, all of this sounds really familiar, right? Like this all sounds like a certain Middle Eastern character that we know about. And I was talking to a friend, and she was saying that because Christianity grew really, really quickly and is very large in South Korea. Like there's these massive super churches there and stuff. And I was like, what is it that is so appealing? Like, what's the draw? And so I was told this, I don't know how accurate it is, that modern South Korean Christians call God Hanyunim. Like they use that same word from this ancient. What's
the word again?
I think it's Hanyunim.
Does that relate to the golden honeymoon that they talk about there? There's pronunciation sounds similar.
Yeah, there's probably some similarity to it etymologically that I don't know. I don't speak a lick of Korean, but
again, if anyone knows, like,
I'm so curious.
We think this stuff is fascinating, and like, whatever discussion, whatever actual like smarts you guys have on this, like, please let us know.
I'm dipping a toe in this, and I would love to like get thoroughly educated on this idea, but just I get a feeling that like there's this, like you were saying, there's a primordial human urge towards this, and it's a universal experience. All of us have felt trapped by our patterns of behavior and our patterns of thought. All of us have witnessed hypocrisy. All of us have committed hypocrisy. And all of us are hoping for a way forward and a way out. And this movie does such a great job of showing and not telling what that could look like.
I want to explore it too, because I touched on like that, the golden honeymoon thing. And originally they're like, if we can have a pop song that's so popular, we'll create the golden honeymoon, and then sin will be gone forever, essentially, is kind of what they're getting at. Ultimately, they realize like, we're not going to get rid of this thing forever. The golden honeymoon's been lost, but we can create a new one. I did some brief bad internet research on this, but my sense was like, the golden honeymoon, the meaning is like it's a collective consciousness. It's like when everyone has a collective consciousness that's based around like pursuit of the good, let's say, then we'll have eradicated that. But then the whole movie is about the collective consciousness shifts towards the demons, and then they got to shift it back and create the golden honeymoon again, right? And so the exploration, in a lot of ways, you could view this whole movie as an exploration of, through a pop music lens, like what the shift in how the shift in the collective consciousness, or so in a culture, how that shifts over time based on the different things that are happening, what the fight to move that towards, the good versus the evil looks like.
I just can't help but occasionally take a step back and remark that this entire conversation is about a movie called K-Pop Demon Hunters that, again, by all rights, it should be some extremely dismissible bubblegum popcorn thing.
Right.
But these filmmakers did, and all of the spiritual or religious like tie-ins aside, these filmmakers committed to universal themes, to really personal struggles. They didn't flee from romance. It's got a beautiful love story in it. And they made an excellent product with integrity that wasn't, at no point does it become preachy, at no point does it fall into an agenda, at no point does it try to present an infallible character. And they related this human, interesting, surprising, beautiful story in this bizarre vehicle. And just absolutely
I think that's the thing, is that it's such an unexpected like vehicle for like these themes that like when you're like, oh, that sticks and that lands and that works really well, and I kind of like it again, and I don't mind it. My family just got back from vacation in Maui, and this was the soundtrack of our vacation. The kids wanted it in the car all the time. And, as dads, we rewatch these movies over and over again and talk to a lot of parents that this has been on one that's over and over again. And, so there's all sorts of stuff. That's, stuff that's going to go over kids' heads. But these deep themes that I think it just are good introduction to these ideas over it.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about it turning my kids into demons or...
Right. It's, introduction to bigger questions and more interesting characters than just purely did the bad guy get beat up?
Right.
Was the good person always good from beginning to very end with no nuance? And so, so villain comeuppance.
Villain comeuppance. What do we see there?
Well, so there's the obvious villain, which is Guima, who's the devil.
Right.
There's the sort of sub-villain,
Genu,
which is Genu.
Okay.
And in a way, we almost have to harken back to like the villain inside of Rumi.
The villain herself, which is, again, like the yin yang thing. There's a little bit of dark in every light, and you need to acknowledge that that's there. And and that's, then if that's in Rumi, then that's also in her friends or in her bandmates, and then that's also in the dopey audience that's there. Like, so it's everyone recognizing like they're susceptible to this. And so Guima gets defeated by what?
The truth.
Gets defeated by the truth, by the sin being revealed and confessed and admitted, and them
and ultimately
coming together around that.
Yeah, and the sacrifice. So the wages of Genu's sin is death, and that ransom is paid.
Mm-hmm.
And so his death redeems Rumi as well.
Mm-hmm.
And their love is what makes that possible, and their truth telling to each other, right?
Yeah. And
then the collective truth telling, so the whole body comes together. Huntrix comes together, they tell the truth, and then it's like it's the, not the band, Collective Souls, but it's the collective souls of the audience, of all the fans that also all reveal this truth and share this openness. And so this body comes together and overcomes Guima.
Right. Yeah.
And I guess, I can assume he's just sort of like cast out, like he just sort of is snuffed out, right?
Right. Until, and the golden honeymoon is then created. And so like the collective consciousness goes in the way of the good and pursuing that, which until next time, kids, until it comes back.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good moment in villain comeuppance. There's a line that feels related to it, but is really poignant one that Genu says to Rumi when they're talking up on the roof, and she's like, "You're a demon. Demons don't feel anything." He's like, "Are you kidding? Like, that's all we do is feel," which is very much like in a time where people are so wrapped up in like your truth and what you feel is real and all that. Like the demon is tortured by like all the different feelings and subjective experiences he's having and what's his past, and he's continue like he can't escape that. Learning to get ground, which is a big part of. So Rumi learned to overcome that. She needs to remove herself from the shame, from the feelings that she's having, to be able to do what she knows is right, which is join with her bandmates, the people that support her, the truth, be honest about that, escaping from the feelings, even though like that's a unpleasant, uncomfortable thing to do, but that's where that's where the victory happens, let's say.
Yeah. And isn't that a great metaphor for your practice and your clients? And
I think that's the therapeutic journey, let's say.
Yeah. And you'll see in the Encanto episode that's also a therapeutic journey, but this therapeutic journey feels so much more grounded and more
satisfying,
more like real work got done. Whatever this intervention was, it was way more effective than the intervention in Encanto.
It's a different journey in that. When that comes out, all our episodes are all jumbled up and out of order, but stay tuned for the Encanto episode. It's a fun one. We get into some fun things in that. Yeah. Also, as we wrap up, one note, because you brought up the artist that did the Kintsugi. He does some paintings, and he actually makes the actual bowls himself. We'll link to it in the show notes. There's a really good talk on him explaining that. It's a 10-minute bit that I loved. So if you want to learn more about that, check that out in the show notes.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool, man. So that was K-Pop Demon Hunters.
It was K-Pop Demon Hunters. Hope everyone's enjoyed this bonus episode. We're going to try and get in whenever there's a kind of hot new thing that's out that we want to jump in. Normally we kind of tend to shy away because there's all sorts of just like kids coverage that gets put out that we get kind of interested in. And this was kind of the opposite. This captured us just as much, and not just the hype around it, but again, both of us are viewing it like there's some good substance to this. So hope this is illuminated some of that for you guys, and please talk to us in the comments. Let us know if you see us offline, whatever. We love conversations like this. So yeah, any ideas on what's coming up next?
Man, this comes out of order, so people have some stuff to catch up on, but I think we're going to catch up in time for, it's going to be deer season. I really think we should do Bambi.
Okay, we're going to have to record a Bambi episode. We'll be getting back to Disney. We kind of took a detour on that for a while. I know we're recording Coco with a great guest coming up, but this one will be coming out right after our last Dad's Night Out, which is Aliens. And so I think we start getting back into some of the kid stuff after this. So check us out and stay tuned. We got a bunch of stuff in the can, more exciting stuff upcoming, and love to hear your guys' thoughts.
Yep, enjoy.
Cool. Thanks, everyone. Hey, if you're enjoying these, remember to like and subscribe, and join us for some navel gazing and occasional super insightful depth in analyzing kids' movies and the occasional Dad's Night Out.